morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We are going to have a crafting junk journal finishing contest here. We're going to see if we can finish these journals off. Hopefully you guys have your journals out and are going to be crafting with me. Excuse me. I knew that was going to happen. So anyway, we are going to be working on the Christmas junk journals. This is the last class of the Christmas junk journal series. Hopefully I get a chance to finish them today. Probably not all three, but at least I'll get a chance to finish one of them. So anyway, I'm not going to do a lot of chit chat today. There's a reason why, but I'm not going to do a lot of chit chat today. We're going to focus more on getting the crafting part of this done. Thank you so much for joining. Hello. I hope the weather is nice where you guys are, and I hope that you guys are all, if you celebrate Christmas, getting your Christmas decorations up or Christmas shopping done or whatever happens to come this weekend. But have a nice weekend, even if you're not doing Christmassy things, if you don't celebrate Christmas. Go out, find something fun to do, spend some time in your craft room, enjoy that. And the making process is always enjoyable, right? Oh my gosh. So anyway, I do sound much better. However, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I do have pneumonia and I am trying my hardest to get over that so that we can continue to do what we need to do here. So anyway, like I said, I don't want to do a whole bunch of chit chatting about it. I'm just trying not to cough at this point during the presentation. Would be, see, can't laugh either. Trying not to cough at this point during the presentation is my number one goal. So let me flip the camera down and let's just get straight into this. You guys can do all the chit chatting for me today and we will start right there. Okay, so, and I did bring water in here, so at least I'll have that. Hopefully that will help me whenever a coughing fit comes. So my journals have not, nothing has changed in them. Nothing has changed in my journals. I have 3 journals. They are still at the same state they were in before, where they have signatures in them, but nothing else. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you where I want to put some ephemera, just because I had some questions. Sorry. I had some questions in the... I had some questions in the Facebook group about, okay, well, you made the ephemera, but you didn't show us where you're putting your ephemera. So let me just quickly, and I won't put it in all 3 because there's not a point in showing you all 3. Let me just quickly show you where I'm going to place the ephemera. And that way, for those of you who are waiting to glue your ephemera in, some of you like to make your journal exactly the same way I make mine. And so for some of you like the originality and you like to do your own thing, and other people like to make it like as close to what they can, one for one of what I do, which is totally fine. But they want to know where I'm placing the ephemera. So for those of you that already have your ephemera glued in, what you could do is you could put lace on your page edges or lace at the bottoms, or you could start working on your cover. But that's also things we're going to be doing in here. And then we're going to do some embellishing on pages and other things. This journal right here, this is my pile of ephemera. So for most of the ephemera, I have 3 pieces that match for one of each of the 3 journals. But for some of it, I only have one of. This stuff here at the top is the stuff we made last Saturday, and I only have one so far because I have not had any crafting time in this room since I left you guys last Saturday. So let's just quickly look at the journal, and I'll just pull from the pile and put some things where I think they need to go. Like normally I don't put one here, so I'm going to skip it for now, and we'll come back. I do want a pocket here, I think. Here or here. So let's go through. We have that flip out pocket with a tuck. I don't want to do flip out next to ledger though. So let me go through my pile of ephemera, and we could just quickly get some easy ephemera glued in here. I hope you guys are all doing well. This is not really ephemera. kit stuff. I will let you guys know. You'll see if you're subscribed to the channel and you check the channel, Monday evening, I will post not Monday evening, Sunday evening, tomorrow night, I will post the sale schedule if we are in fact able to do that. At the present time, there's no way that I can go 5 hours, but we have a little bit of time before that. So we're just going to play it by ear and see how it goes. I can't express to you enough how much I need to do the sale at this point, because I have Christmas packed merchandise and all kinds of other things. So I am trying. I know I would hate to disappoint those people who are waiting. So I am trying my hardest to get, at a minimum, we'll have another sale before we wrap up, but I really do hope to do the whole super sale week. So just give me until Sunday. Yes, Sunday evening. And then you'll see the schedule posted, and whatever that schedule is, that's how we're going to start. And then if I can add more days to it, I'll add more days to it. I think I'm going to put the Santa right here. This was made out of a masterboard piece. So it's got coffee dyed cardstock on the back. This little Santa was included in the fussy cuts for the kits. So basically I'm just going to stick him there. He's very simple. So that's going to be that one. We have pocket there. The next place I would consider to add a pocket would be here. And I really like the red poinsettia with the red bag. I know we just did a masterboard, one of those. So maybe we don't do some, that covers up too much. Let's put this one here for now, and we'll come back to this. As you can see, I've already made my ephemera a mess, but that's okay. So maybe because I have a red bag here, I'll put a pocket with something red. If you used your green bag here, maybe you'd put something that had more green in it there. So let's just look at leaving it like that for a moment. And I could add a pocket here, but it's also writing space. So I think I'll focus on adding a pocket here. And for this one, I could come in and put this tuck right there. That's actually okay because the red in the Santa suit is a darker red like this. So I could add that one there. Kind of like the way the measuring tape is peeking out over here on the side. So let's leave it like that. Ooh, but then we have this side. Nope, never mind. We have to put something over here. As much as I do love this large wallpaper pattern, it needs some color to tie it in, to other things that we're doing. So I'm going to put it on this side as opposed to putting it on that side. So there's that. And I haven't really counted or anything yet. I'm just trying to find pages I know I want to add something and work from there. I don't have to add something here, but we probably have something we can add. All of these are tags, but some of the tags could also be put on the page as tucks. So we have that option also. And like if I took, I'm not going to do it, but if I did, I could take a tag, any kind of tag, and put it on the edge of a page and glue it down on two sides, and it would be a tuck. So you could certainly take a tag and make it into, this is kind of what I was looking for. But even that, like, it covers quite a bit of the floral there. I could cut the angle off. So we could have a tuck of this here. Let me just take a peek at a different one. In fact, I like this one a little bit better there. It's a little skinnier. And when I trim the corner here for the tuck pocket, it'll show more of the background paper. So I'll probably put that one there. And that's French ledger with gold metallic embossed stamps. And what did I do here? This is the coin envelope that we made last Saturday. So far, I think that's 4. Let's keep working and see where we go. So we have this page here, and I think my preference would be to add one here And again, I would like to add one that has some red to it because everything is so green at this point. And I could just add a small little tuck like this even. And this was supposed to be a journal card, right? But I could just glue it on two sides and make that a tuck also. I could do that. I like the red and the green combination. Let's keep looking and see what else we have. We have these pockets, but see, they have a lot of green on them. And, you know, you could do it for sure. That's okay. You could do it. And maybe we do, but if I can find something with a little more red, I think I would probably do that. Even a tag like this, you know, it already has a string and everything, but that's still a tuck. You could still put that on there as a tuck. So let's keep looking. We have these little pockets. Just something simple. I like this one better. It's too simple. And this makes it too neutral. So I think right now this is the winner for there. And then we have these envelopes back here in the back. Let's take a peek at these envelopes. They have this poinsettia envelope. And it could go off to the side. You could make it a tuck back here, and then you've got pocket and pocket. You could do that one right there. That's okay. Anything else is going to be super green, but it has to go in the other two journals. So we're going to do this one for now. Okay, moving on. Maybe one here, but let me count quick. So we did one. That was our first one. We did two. And then this is our third one. This is our fourth one. This is our fifth one. So really, we only need one more. And we have quite a stretch here to go. So perhaps I could pull this one out and just not put one on this page, because we've been pretty heavy with pockets and tucks, you know, pretty good through there. So let's go a little further in. Go a little further in. Like that would look really cute there. And then we still need one more in this section. So we're still probably a little too close, but let's see where we're at. So pocket spacing is important. I mean, that's kind of cute there too. And it depends on what I'm going to do here. If I want to clip a bunch of stuff to the edge, sometimes adding a pocket hinders that, and sometimes it's okay. Let's try putting that one there. So I've got, I'm going to count my pages now. I've got 2, 3, 4 pages in between these two. We could do it. I'm not sure if I like him here or here. I'm just going to leave him here for now, and we're going to move on. So I'm going to put one of these type here. Let's move on and keep going. Because the other things that I have, like this is a clip-in pocket. And so I don't want to put that, you know, I don't want to really put that there because I'm probably going to clip something here on the inside. So I'm not going to do that one there. And then the other thing that we have is that little neutral pocket, wherever that one went. These little bell pockets. And maybe one of those would be better here because it's a little simpler. And you get to see more of the roses. I do like that one there. So I guess I'm putting that one there. And then I did find our postcard pockets. And it needs cut down just a little bit, but that one could go there too, or here. So we would have plenty of pockets in the front section. I'm going to leave it for now. We're going to put that one there, and we're going to move to the back half. So here's my signature string in the center, and now I'm going to work on filling up some pockets in the back half. And I don't want to put anything here because we've got decoration centered on the bottom part of the page, so I don't want to put a pocket there. And I like the way this looks together. I don't want to add any other colors in there to make that too busy. Again, we've got decoration on the bottom part. So sometimes, you know, you got to do it where you have a space to do it. So for this one, I'll put this one on the back side here because I used the bell one on the other side. Then we have decoration there. And right here is a good place for another pocket. And we have that red. We have this guy. And he'll go there. He's a little too green and red, but he'll go there. I can accept him there. So that'll be okay. I'm not sure I like that little thin check flapping over that kind of a pocket. If I don't like it, I can always fold it in like that. So for that page, let's do that pocket. Unless I come back and change my mind, but let's keep going. Then we're here. I did a pocket on the other side. We could do a pocket here. I don't know how that's going to look. It needs something more simple. And we've already used our simple bell one. We could do something like that right there. That would be okay. It's cute. I have the other half of my cutoff envelope. Let's see, other options are I have the other half of my cutoff envelope, which is here, and it's just a small little pocket. In reality, I really like the girl, so I'm going to stick the girl there. So there's that one. Going forward, again, we have design at the bottom, so we're going to skip over that. And then we come to this page. And for this one, what have we not used so far? We have not used one of these, but more than that, we haven't used this guy. He needs to go the other way. So we're going to have to find a place where this can flip out. And preferably, I wouldn't want to cover up her face with it. So we need to find a place for that. That's kind of it has to be in a specific place, right? It has to go on a specific side of the page. We could do something like this. However, we have book page here and it covers up too much of that. So we still need a place for one of those also. Other than that, we would have to use a tag as a tuck again. And I certainly could use a red embossed one. And I actually really like that here because we have the red dress here. We have the red lined paper, and I could do just a simple little tuck like that. For now, I'm going to leave that there. Moving forward. And we could, if we have to, do this on a coffee dyed paper. I would prefer not to, but if we have to, we could. Let's see if we could do, well, it'll cover up that lady. Let's see, do we need a pocket right here? No, we're going to leave the bird there. And we'll do some embellishing up here at the top. So sometimes when you have a focal point on your page down at the bottom, but it's still very simple, then you'll just do a little embellishing at the top right here, and that will kind of help balance it out. So we'll do that together here. Okay, here we could put a pocket. I keep trying to use this guy. We have a pocket there. I don't know. Let's see. We definitely have to have a pocket here, and that's where he's going because the green and the green look good together. So we found a place for him, although we didn't find a place for this yet, but I'm not giving up. Okay, so that's where I'm at so far. The things I would like to change are for sure I need a place for this guy. We also did not use our, we didn't use this pocket, and we didn't use the bottom of our envelope, and we didn't use that green bag. So those are things that I have 3 of, for one for each journal. So I do need to find a place for those. just so that we can keep the 3 journals even and I don't end up with like 2 pieces of exactly the same ephemera. And also one of this type of pocket. So I still have plenty of pockets, which means I probably can go in and make some edits and changes. So let's just do that quick and get it over with. These are unfinished masterboard pieces, and I may be using one of those on the cover. I'm going to try not to, but we'll see. So going back from the top, and this is the process. You know, I could simply add a pocket right here, and I would be very happy with that also. But this is the process of placing ephemera. I suggest that you go through and place it like I did, where you just set it on the page before you just start gluing, because you might have a piece of ephemera like this that is made to go, you know, one way. You could have made it the other way, but we made it this way. So this has to go on a page a certain way. You might want to you know, find a specific page first before you make that or whatever, but it's not going to be a problem. We're going to figure it out here. I really do like him there. I think he looks great. So I don't want to change that. I don't really want to flip out next to these. However, this guy here is a masterboard pocket, and so is this guy. And if I use both of these, then I will be one short for the other journals. If I put that there, it's covering it up quite a bit. Just work through my process. We could put this postcard here. It has the gold through, like the gold book cover. We could put the postcard there. I'm going to take that out and put the postcard. I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's poinsettias. It needs trimmed down, but we'll do that. That'll make a good swap. That way I have that pocket available for another journal. Here, we're doing this, but could we get away with doing this? We could. This would flip out. This would have a Tim Holtz strip down the side of it. I'm not sure I like it as much as the original idea, so I'm going to leave the original idea. You just have to keep going. I don't know. I got to find a page for it somewhere. And this one, you know, we might be able to do it there, but we're going to cover up all the beauty here, which is a shame. But it does look good there. So I'm still going to say no to it, but it is an option as a last resort. Oh my gosh. I guess we're going to do it here because this is the only place I've left myself to be able to do it. And I don't love, it needed more red, but maybe when I put the tag down inside, it will be a red based tag. So it will make it look better when it has more red. But that way it'll flip out there and we'll have a Tim Holtz strip here. And I think that's probably the best option. So that's what we're going to do with that. This pocket, I could put that there. We have a lot of pockets. Truthfully, I probably have too many pockets. But even if I make more pockets than I need for one journal, I always could go back and save these pockets for next year. I really like this here, so I don't want to cover that up. I think we're good. I think we're going to leave it just the way it is. Let me count back and front, and then we're going to go ahead and work with this one today, this journal. Let me count pockets in the back and in the front and make sure that they're even. Wherever my signature strings are, right here. And so once I've got the ephemera in place, like just laid in like this, and I'm happy with it, I'll glue it all in, and then I'll do lace down the page edges and lace at the bottoms of the pockets. I do space it so that it's a nice waterfall out the bottom and a nice waterfall out the top, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay, so in the back section, I have 1 pocket, 2 pockets, 3 pockets, 4 pockets. If we do that, yep, 4 pockets. and 5 pockets. So we're 1 pocket short in the back. 1 pocket short. So we have 5. In the front, I found so many places to put them in the front. In the front, we have 1 pocket, 2 pockets, 3 pockets, 4 pockets, 5 pockets, 6 pockets. So I have 6 in the front and 5 in the back. We'll need to find one more place to add another piece. Sometimes, I don't like putting it on the very back page or the very front page either. I could put one here, or I could cover up copy dye. Like, that's not awful there. I mean, it doesn't look bad. My concern is the doily rubbing over top of fabric and bumpy things. So we could do it here. However, I think I can probably find a better place if I look quick. We didn't do anything here because we did it on the back side. And I don't normally do back to back, but if I have no other option, then sure, I could do it, right? But there's that. And I'm refusing to cover up our bird, but if I did cover up our bird, we could get this whole guy right here. Is the bird worth saving? I mean, he's pretty sweet. But at the same time, that kind of... This is a necessary pocket. And so we might just stick it there. Anyway, I'm going to leave it like that for now, and we'll call that 6. I feel like that's a little bit cheaty. Let's just stick it on this one. Yeah, I'm going to stick it here because I do want to keep the bird and I do want to do the embellishing at the top with you all. So I'm just going to stick it on the back side of this green one. Yes, I am taking up some journaling space. However, they could journal on the front, and there is other opportunities for journaling. Plus, when you put a big tag in here, first of all, it's a really big bag. It'll hold a lot more than just one tag. But if you put a big tag in there, you're going to get back the journaling space. So for now, I'm going to leave it like this. I have 6 and 6 front and back. And I've used everything that I needed to use except for one of these pockets. So if I add another pocket, it will be one of these. I didn't use the top of my envelope either, but that can just be used in another journal. So anyway, there was some ephemera placing ideas. You'll do whatever feels right to you and in your journal. But let's go ahead and move on and start with getting some, let's work on the cover a little bit, I think. Let's work on the cover. So right now we have just the plain green crushed velvet covers. So I do want to add lace, and I'm going to have to make a topper piece for the front of the journal. And I thought about a lot of different ways to make the topper. Like I could have made it with a cardboard base and then cover it with fabric and have a cut piece of doily and a focal point. And honestly, I don't know where I'll go today because I have a hard time being creative when I don't feel 100%, but I'm just going to start, and whatever comes, comes. So hopefully it's good by the time it's done. This ticking fabric that I used inside of my spine, you could easily cut a piece of that ticking fabric and put it here and work off of that. It's a nice way to tie the ticking in because, you know, it would also go on the front. So if you have ticking fabric, that would be a good idea to start layering. We know from the kit that we got this piece right here. And so this is definitely going over the edge, over the spine. And I just need to figure out what exactly I want to see for an image here. I have some ideas. Like I said, I could start with a cardboard piece and do some crochet or cut pieces of lace or something. However, I was looking at, so this will do after we have the topper built. You don't want to glue this on first because you might want your points of your lace to wrap over top of your topper, then again, you might want to move it off to the side. So my advice would be to not put this piece on until you have your topper built so that you could lay everything out and then glue. So let's set that to the side for a moment. But I did pull some Florentine papers. And because I have a green cover, I'm looking at using red Florentine. That way it doesn't get too green, right? So I'm going to build like a little collaged topper, and then we'll add some lace to kind of tie it in. So let's go ahead and get started building that topper. You can build it on anything for a base, like junk mail, a tag, a time card, a manila folder that's cut down, whatever you have, you can build this on. I'm looking around to see what in fact I actually do have. And you also could take like a piece of cardboard and rip off the cardboard and build a topper onto a cardboard piece and stick it on. I think for this one, I want to go with some fabric underneath, some fabric and lace underneath. So we're just going to build this on like a folder, or I'm looking for like a scrap piece of cardstock. I hate to cut down a coffee dye just to have some cardstock. Looking. Yeah, I planned super good. I need a piece of cardstock. Let's go ahead and just use coffee dye. At least the edges will not be white, right? The edges will not be white. This is a very thin one though. See, it needs more, I guess we're going to layer, but it still needs a little bit more bulk than this one. I would use a thicker cardstock. So anyway, topper size. If you look at the front cover of a journal, again, this is a 9x6 journal. So if you look at the front, you're going to have 6 inches across and you're going to have 9 inches for your height. The topper really should be a good, I would say 4.5, probably 5 inches by 3 or 4 inches wide, 3.5 maybe. You know, we're going to just build it, but I'm going to start out with a 4-inch. I know that I'm not going to leave it 4-inch, but I'm going to start out with a 4-inch wide by 5.5 inches tall. I'll probably do 3.5 by 5.5, but I'm going to start out a little bigger and cut it down as I work. So let me go ahead and do a 5.5 inch strip here. And this is just the base, to collage on. And I'm just going to do it 4, and then we'll see how we like that size. I'll cut a couple just because. Okay. So we got 3 out of that. Now from here, I don't want to just do Florentine paper. I would like to do a little collage with ledger or book page or some kind of handwriting, and also the Florentine paper. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get the background, the handwriting or the ledger or the book page put on here, and then we'll come and we'll put the Florentine paper on. So for book page or handwriting, let me see what we've got over here. It's like you always have a million things, but can you reach them when you want them? Let me find some book page. You could put the postcard from the kid on the front. You absolutely could. But I wanted to build one from scratch because some people, some people don't want to put the postcard on. Some people do, some people don't. But I just figure if I show, because, it's easier to just glue the postcard and layer the postcard on the front. Yes, it's easier. That would be like the basic, like maybe something, a little more basic. And this is something maybe a little more I'm not going to say super advanced, but a little more advanced, because building a topper from scratch is harder than gluing a postcard to the front, right? So even if you layer some lace under that postcard, it's going to be a beautiful topper on the front of a journal. However, I'm just going with this option today. This is where whatever little bit of creativity I have, that's where it's taking me. Okay. So for these, I'm just going to tear and glue. And I actually don't even need to tear. I can tear the red one. So honestly, it fits on this page. We're just going to glue. Very simple at that point. Something to glue on. And I don't need to make 3. I'm just going to start by making 1, but at least I have the things off to the side to make the other ones. I don't want to take up all of our time by making duplicates, because we do have a lot of things to get to today. Doesn't really matter because we're not going to see the back. However, you could put this, because you're making a topper out of cardstock, you always have the option of making that into like a little hidden pocket. When you glue your topper on your journal, you could have a hidden pocket where a tag goes in the top or to the side. So that's something to consider too, is the fact that you could, when building a topper out of cardstock or even that postcard, you could glue it on, or it will be a hidden pocket. Doesn't have to be hidden. You could make it obvious, but it's a nice little hidden place to hide some secret journaling, something that means a lot to you. Maybe it's where you hide, a special photograph or something like that. And so I'm just going to lay this down on here. My paper has a bend in it, so I don't want to attempt to glue on a bent paper. Yep. There we go. And so this just gives us that, in this case, it was German rag paper font. It's a nice German font rag paper book page for the background. And so that's going to get cut off. The little excess is going to get cut off. Let me just give that a second to dry, and let's work on which one of these we want. And I have 3 different ones, and I'm kind of inclined just to do 3 different ones. So I think that's where we're going with it. I think we're just going to do 3 different Florentine papers for the toppers. And again, there will be lace behind this, lace going over top of this in sections. I just like to do the toppers where they're really well incorporated into the front of a journal instead of just something that's glued to the front. It's my preference. So I've trimmed off the excess. Again, I've saved all these little bits so far, and we're going to do those as page embellishments here shortly. Okay. And then I just need a small piece of this. And I'm just going to roughly cut it. If you don't have Florentine paper, holiday wrapping paper, you often can find really beautiful designs in that too. So if you don't have the Florentine, or you're not willing to cut yours up, wrapping paper is another good option. Okay, so I want to tear it at an angle, kind of coming off this side, because I've got my page number up here on the right. So all I'm going to do is just take it and just give it a little, a little softening. I'm not really creasing it. I'm just softening it there. And then I'm just going to tear. And some paper tears better one way than the other. Sometimes it'll leave a white edge and you don't like it. Sometimes you're looking for a white edge. So, and I don't know how high up I want the paper. I started pretty high, but I think that's probably going to be good. So I'm going to correct that little bit of an angle right there. And then we're going to go and glue that down. How are you guys? Who's already finished with their journals? Because I know some of you are already finished. And I'm not going to ink this. I just don't want it. I don't want it inked. So I'm not going to ink it. Not the little torn edge is what I'm talking about. I'll ink it when I'm done, but I don't want to ink the torn edge. Who's already done with their journal? It's super curly now. And so I'm just going to slide it up there and slide it over. And there's that. This is the letterpress paper. So not only does it have little shimmers of gold, but it's a little textural and thicker. And I chose that one. I tried to choose all 3 letterpresses, but I only have 2. So I chose these because they're a little thicker. They'll help add the bulk to the journal topper. Okay, so there's that one. And so we've got a pretty good start. The next thing I want to do is I do want to add some ink just so that I can see the framing. And then I'm going to take it before I finish decorating it and put it on. And I just want to see framing here. And before I put my focal point on, I'm going to put this on the cover just as it is with the little inking, because I'm hoping to see if this is the right size before I put that focal point and finish my layering. Because if it's not the right size and I have to cut it down and I've already put my focal point on, then you could have like your focal point not be centered and you might just not be as happy with it. So my advice would be to, you know, if you're building this style with me, go ahead and make the base before you put your focal point on, and then give it a try on your journal cover. Make sure it's sized right. And so this is what we have so far. And honestly, that's a pretty good size for this cover. That's a pretty good size. And so we ended up doing 4 inches wide by 5.5 tall. I could skinny this out a little bit because we do have this big lace coming over. Now you can move the lace more to the back, more to the front, whatever. But, you know, I think that's pretty good size for this one. So I did 5.5 by 4. So now we need to talk about the rest of the layering. I know that I want fabric or lace underneath. You could do fabric or lace. I know that I want, and actually some French Christmas fabric would have been beautiful right there. But I want fabric or lace underneath. Let me go ahead and do the collaging while I think about exactly what I want to put behind here. But before you glue this on, make sure you put something else back there. Even though we're putting lace over the top, I don't like the harshness of the edges. So having a little roughly torn lace, some older lace back there, like reclaimed lace out of an old shirt or blouse or something, skirt, whatever it is, having some torn lace kind of softens those hard lines. We're going to soften it on this side naturally by putting this here. You could always add more lace down here to soften that. But I just like the way that some fabric looks layered up under there too. So let's finish collaging. While in my mind, I think about what French fabric is accessible. And we'll go grab some lace or some fabric here in a minute. Now, for the focal point and the rest of the collaging. That's awesome, Claudia. That's awesome. So let's go ahead. A lot of you are at the same stage as me. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about focal points. I have a Tim Holtz pack of ephemera plus some other bits. I know that I wanted to do Christmas tree. So I think that's just as simple as it's going to get for me. And then we're going to worry about lace and adding some other detail that way. There will probably be a little label somewhere, but I need to know if this label needs to go over top of lace or underneath of lace. So I don't want to put the labels on just yet. I want to put the main focal point and anything else you want behind that focal point. And then I want to put this, so I want to put, uh-oh, we're losing our ephemera. So you have to do it in steps, or else you're going to get to a point where you're like, oh, dang, I wish I didn't glue that on there. Unless you're just a lot more relaxed about the process than I am. Oh my gosh, this page is hard to find. So anyway, put your lace or your fabric, put your focal point on here. Then you're going to glue this over top of your lace or fabric. But don't put on the tiny little fine details like a little label or whatever you're using until after you have the rest of the lace on. Or, you know, it'll tell you whether you can go ahead and put it on or whether you need to put it over top of lace. So if I was going to put this here on the front and just say I wanted to put this lace across the bottom, if I wanted to put that there, put the lace across the bottom, I might want this to come in here and go over the top, as opposed to being underneath my lace where it would make it very hard to see, right? So just kind of keep in mind the layering process, and you have to always start from the back, the very, very bottom in the back, and work your way to the front. As you're building, you're starting from way back here on the cover and then building yourself out. So let's go ahead and continue to work with this guy. He's just going to get glued on. Very simple. I'm going to use the glue stick, but I will probably also add some art glitter. I want the glue stick because it's going to get all the little tiny, like there's little candles sticking up on this one. Actual little candlelight. And I don't want those to not have glue on them. So I'm going to add glue with a glue stick. But because this is going on my cover, and ooh-hoo is fine, but you guys know I have to be like OCD about it. So I'm also going to add a touch of art glitter if art glitter feels like working today. And that's just because it's on the cover. It's the front part of the cover. It's going to stick out a little probably. So my OCD says we're going to overglue it. Probably unnecessary because ooh-hoo is amazing. But I'm just going to leave that stuck to my finger. But now I'm sure that it is going to be fine. So we're just going to grab that guy and kind of center him. Because I know I'm putting lace and other things, we might put him a little high. We're trying to center, but we have art glitter. So that looks fairly good. It's very hard for me to do laying down flat sometimes. That looks pretty good. So we're going to leave that there. See, it had actually like little tiny candles. I don't know if you guys can see them. Little tiny candles sticking off of the edge of the tree. And so those are all stuck down now. And there's the front. I mean, it's a very simple, basic one. You could even use the front of a greeting card as a journal topper. Lots of people do the fronts of greeting cards. So let's go ahead and look at the fabric or lace to put back there. And I really wish that I would have pulled some French fabric for behind there, but I didn't. So we're going to use lace instead because that's what's in this room. So let's go ahead and get the lace. And I think this is the right label for over top, but we'll look at that together too. I have to get out of my chair and I have hundreds of books and ledgers all over my floor. So let me see if I can play Jenga and get to the lace. And cut us a piece of layering lace. Layering lace. What do we have for layering lace? We have this option. We have some options in here. So I have a bin that I keep some different laces that are more for layering. You probably have something that looks similar to this. What you're looking for layering lace can be thick or can be thin. Could be a doily if you wanted to cut up a doily, like a crochet doily, could be that. So here we go. And I'm going to show you thin and I'm going to show you thick and probably something in between. But sometimes all we have is wide lace like this. And this is the same lace that I used in here for the pocket. And so I could match that up, like marry it up, right? It would look nice. Sorry, you can't see that. It's the same one peeking out down here. So I could cut a piece of this, kind of put it on at an angle or scrunch it up and then put it in here. The angle is important to me. It might not be to you, but it is to me. Kind of put it in there where it's peeking out. I can't get it to lay perfectly because it's not really being glued down, but kind of have it peeking out in areas. You could even cut it into two and have it peeking out into areas. And then again, we're going to wrap this white lace over the edge like this. And then you could have another lace, which I usually do, to come and soften that bottom. Because if I leave it just like this, that's okay. But, you know, sometimes building in another lace is also good. So I could have a piece of that coming over there. And then, like we talked about, sorry for my reaching, I could continue the layering process like that. So we could end up with something that looks like this. There will be a closure right here. There will be more lace coming out the bottom. In fact, I probably will use this gold one coming out the bottom as well. So that's an option. And if I hold it up where we're not getting as much glare, it's a little better looking. And if you could see the color of the green, it would be even better. But my camera does not like this color of green. It always shows it very teal. And in reality, it is a Christmas tree green. So this is a good option. It's a basic option. The other option is, instead of using this thin, more white colored lace, we could use something that's thicker and older. This is a cut up piece of like a, this is one of those tablecloths. But just a cut up piece. It's thicker. It's less white. You know, you're going to angle it a little bit differently, but just to look at this together, you've got that. You won't have as much. You'll kind of get rid of some of this bulk. We'll cut it down. But anyway, you'll have some of that on there. We'll still do the gold across the bottom and we'll still do this. So you could do thick or thin. You could do crochet. I think you guys can kind of get the look. For some people, it's like, ooh, this looks terrible, but it's because it's just a rough piece and we would have to cut it down. So I guess in order to really look at it, let's cut it down so it doesn't look so awful. What else do we have in this bin? We have some more of like this kind. This one is just slightly off-white. And then that could go on there. This can go over the top. This can go across the bottom with that. So the point is something peeking out of these sides, the right side and the top, because we're going to cover the left side with the white one, and we're going to cover some across here with the gold, if you choose to do that. If you don't choose to add that one, then you're just going to be here, and that's also good. So it depends on how lacy you want your cover. And again, because of glare, it doesn't look as good. But anyway, pick out your layering lace. Pick out your layering lace, and let's go ahead and get started. To me, I want something less white. The white one was a nice option, but I would like something a little more vintage looking. So I'm not opposed to this one, and I'm not opposed to trying the thick one. Let's go ahead and try that thick one first. I don't know where I put it, but once I find it, I'll be ready to go. I think it was this piece. So, something like this. And when you lay it on to size it, you just want to pick whatever side you want. Like it has these little loops right here. It's the back side, so we'll flip it over. But it has these little loops right here. And the loops are interesting, so we could keep those loops on there. You want to make sure that you have a space for your closure. And this is an eyelet style of closure. So while it will punch through a bunch of this thick fabric, in my experience, it's a little better to try not to. So I am going to make sure I leave a little space here for that eyelet. And then you could even continue and wrap this over and then do the white lace back there too, if you have a really long piece like this. I'm just going to pull it off to the side and kind of play with it a little bit. And I'm going to get it to the right size, and then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to glue everything on today with Fabri-Tac. So you can glue with whatever you want to glue with. I like that. Let's do that. And we're just going to glue with Fabri-Tac. Now, for the front, you know, you can choose to have these white peaks closer to the right or off to the left. We're going to wrap this around. This is kind of throwing off that look though, having that big thick cream one back there. I've changed my mind. I don't like it because it takes away from the white. Yes, it's taking away from the white. I need one more option. Are you guys tired of playing with lace with me? Here's another option. It's different. It's a little more a cross between the two. Yes. Okay, we'll go with that one. It's just really some netting with some embroidery on it. And now, because I want this one to be the focal point lace, right? I want those big white tips to be the focal point, and we'll come across there. That's fine. Let's do it. So where's my Fabri-Tac glue? It's hiding in this room somewhere. We're going to need something to cover our work surface. We're going to need Fabri-Tac glue because we're gluing fabric. And laces. And I keep going back and forth between which lace. And I know that whenever you choose your piece of lace, so like if I chose this one, see how it's all straight lined cut? The first thing that I like to do is I like to come in with a pair of scissors and make that less straight. Figure out which side is the front before you do it. Come in and make that less straight. Just take your scissors and rub the lace. You're rubbing the lace right down here where the two blades meet. And that's alone kind of roughing up the threads a little. And then sometimes you have to cut out a little section or tear a little section. But it's just making it look a little more worn, a little less brand new and perfect, and, you know, like we just did it. Even though we did just do it, it needs to look a little older. And this is like a vintage, probably cut from like a lacy curtain or something. But so now that edge looks a little rougher. It's a little torn and frayed and rougher. So do that on your cut sides, right? And it usually just takes a minute. This one is a little frayed already, so I'll just take some snips out and then rub it through there. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to get rid of these little tiny pieces. I don't want them sticking to my cover. And now I've changed my lace like 5 times, but you're all good with it. So we're going to layer this one on here. And anything sticking over the edge is fine. You know, you can adjust that later, but I'm going to pull it mostly to the front because we know the back is getting covered with the white. So I'm just going to try to get it to what looks good to my eye. I don't know what side is front and what side is back on this one. It's actually this one. Don't care, going to use it backwards. Well, whatever. This is good. This is good. And then we're just going to glue. And this is a thin lace. So with Fabri-Tac, and I guess I don't have my other light on either. With Fabri-Tac, let me get this a little brighter in here. This may be too bright now. It gets too hot. Like, I don't know how to do it, but we'll try it. See it? It just goes down and down. Let me adjust the brightness from the camera. Yeah, it was very dark right here. So we're going to go up quite a bit. There we go. Now you guys can see what I'm doing. You guys are all so polite. You never even say anything. So we're just going to put some glue. We don't want a lot. We're just going to tack some back here between like the thickest little bits of the lace. And that's just really holding it still while I move it around and play with it. So just a couple here or there just to tack it. So those are on there. I'll lay that on there. And I don't like it perfectly straight and flat either. I do try to give it a crinkle, a ruffle. I don't know if you guys will see it. I try to give it a ruffle. And again, that's probably the little tiny glue dots that I put on the back. It's kind of to hold this ruffle too. Okay, so then the next thing is this. I do want to rub some ink around the outside, like the actual edge. So we've inked the front edge, but I want to rub some ink around the actual edge. And it will darken the front a little, but I think it looks better on the cover like that. So there, now it's darkened. We don't have any, we had coffee dye to begin with, but we don't have anything showing there. And then we're just gonna, you want to go thin because this is Fabri-Tac and it will seep out. So you want to go thin around the very edge and then go thicker in the middle. And I think fabric with this lace would have also looked really lovely. I just did not pull any French fabric. I have some beautiful red and white fabric that would have looked lovely. Also, I said that stripe, the red ticking fabric would have looked lovely. So I like to add quite a bit of glue back here. And I'm gluing mine completely flat. I didn't do any hidden pockets. I like to add a lot because it's on the cover. And if anything was gonna come off, it would be this. And so I just add a good amount of glue back here. You can see I've got quite a bit on. And so then we're just gonna leave our lace ruffled and we're gonna put this kind of where we want it. We know we're gonna cheat it forward just a little. And then from there, you know, I just sat it there. I didn't press it down. I just sat it there, kind of where I want it. And then I'm pulling and moving the piece itself, right? And once I get the piece where I want it, where the piece is centered, right? The piece is centered. It's slightly higher. So we have slightly more area here than we do here, because you never want to go dead center. You want to go slightly up from dead center. So that the piece is okay for me. The lace will need adjusting a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push this down a little, and then I'm going to start playing with this lace, and I'm going to pull wherever I want to pull and get some more ruffling going in here. I can pick it up and I can tuck it. I could pick this up right here and I could tuck it a little, and it's making it thicker underneath, which is good. Can tuck that a little just so we don't have that perfect little angle there. That's better. And then I'm going to press down. So I'm just going to hold it for a minute. Always checking to make sure that we didn't move and we're not out of straight. That looks pretty good. And then once I've kind of given it a few seconds to set, I'll go through and I'll go around the edge and just make sure that the edge is down. And then I'll go through the center, make sure the center is down. If you wanted to seal your cover piece, since we used a paper cover piece, you could seal it with either a spray sealer or something like the Tim Holtz Collage Medium is a good sealant. So there's that. And then I just left this loose, right? And I left all the other little bits loose. You never want to glue things completely like all flat. I shouldn't say never, but usually you want fabric to look like fabric. It's supposed to be texture, right? Okay, so now we're going to layer this one on. And that looks pretty good. We're going to go up a little. That looks pretty good. So we're going to get this glued on next. And the way that I like to do that is typically I have my ephemera glued in. So pardon my neighbor. They like loud music when they come home in their driveway. So typically my ephemera is glued in to where I can just set my journal up like this and work that way. I'm going to attempt to do it, but my ephemera will probably fall out because it's not really glued in there. But I hope that that is not coming through the speakers. If it is, my apologies. I'm going to add glue across my signature strings first. And I will go almost all the way to the top and almost all the way to the bottom. And that's just a line right across the signature strings. And then from there, we're going to lay this guy over because we know that he has to go over here. So we're just going to get him to go there. And then honestly, I'm going to do a little over the top and we're going to lay this lace on. And then we'll adjust and glue our little points as we go. So I want the tips to the front. You could do the scallop to the front. If you wanted, you could totally do scallop in the front. Dang it, I didn't try it first. Normally I try it to see what I'm going to like. End up getting glue all over it. Scallop to the front would have been cute too, and it would have shown our tree a little more. Nope. The whole point of it was tips, the tip of the lace to the front. So anyway, now I'm just going to lay it down and I'm going to guess about where those tips are going to go. And we're going to fold it over and see. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So let's go ahead and get the glue in the lace there. Looking good. Looking good. We need to come up just a little bit so that we can actually cover our signature strings. And then we're just going to press this on. Just press it on. And then we're going to tack it from the back first, right here. And I just left the whole piece. Like I didn't cut mine at all ahead of time. I just left the whole piece. And we want to tack from the back. That way we're making sure that it is straight also. So when you do it, you want to line it up. You want to find some kind of center line and line it up. And so for me, when I look at these scallops, I'm going to have all three of the scallops coming over the same amount. I'm not going to have my lace all crooked, right? So anyway, now we're going to glue in here. And you don't add glue to your book, you add glue to your lace. So find the thick parts of the embroidered lace and add your glue there. I typically work down inside and do the very edge last. You do you, but so I've got lots of glue in there and then I'm just going to fold. Okay. And I tried to avoid getting lace in these little mesh areas. So it's not perfect everywhere, but press that down in there. And then we're going to check the front and make sure the front is going to be good. We've got a little puckering on that right there. That's all good. Yes, it looks lovely. So that's going to work out perfectly, and we'll have those tips coming to the front. Perfect. All right, so next we're going to glue the front down, and then we will glue the back down last. So again, take your glue bottle and hit all of these little, the thick parts of the lace, not the net part, but the thick part. We don't have a lot of material here, so I can go ahead and just glue that right over. Right there. Right now it has a lot of glare, and it's just that that piece on the front. It's not shiny per se, but it does have some glare coming off of it. So I've glued this over, and I really do need to trim some of that off before I glue. And the reason why is because I have these little tails coming out of my journal. I don't want to cut my signature strings, and I don't want to cut my ticking cloth right there. So I'm just going to cut it. Not cutting those, and not cutting my draping leaves. Just cut it. And we'll use that here in a little bit too. So, okay, there's that. That goes back down there. These are all good. Perfect. This is the last one right here. We probably should just cut it first. It's just a little easier. You could just fold down that, and then just take your scissors, and I leave it longer in the beginning. And then once I know what I want, I'll come back and trim that little tiny bit that's left. And again, I can't glue the whole thing here. I can only glue till there. You might be able to get that point on. Let's see. If I cheat it down a little bit, we can try. For symmetry, we can try. Okay, so front is pretty well tacked. Pretty well tacked on. And back feels pretty good too. I know that in the back area, I'm going to need to glue the edges. Right here. Right here. So I'm just going on the thick part, right where right where this is. That's where I'm gluing. And this one's already pretty glued there. If it pulls up with your finger, then you need to glue it. Okay. Especially near the edges of your journal. Okay, we're good. We've got that on. I don't know if the light helps you see the green. I don't think it does, because it's not this green. It's like a Christmas green. So anyway, it's just never going to show the real color. So we have part of it done. Let's continue working. You want to make sure you don't have glue anywhere as you're setting it, back down and all that kind of stuff. Let's continue working. I do want that gold lace in. I should have put it in before I glued that down, because typically I like to hide the edge over here. So I do want to do that. Let's cut that one a little long, and we'll get that one tucked in. Now you could tuck it under your cardboard also, but I like to see it. I just don't want this straight line to be what's here in the end. I'm going to put that label over top. So, and again, I want to tuck the edge under. So the good thing about this glue is you do have some playtime. And I'm just going to tuck it back under there. Perfect. Add a little additional glue and we're good to go. It's really important to add the glue right on those signature strings like you saw me do in the first part of this. That glue needs to get on those signature strings, and it actually needs to, it kind of glues the signature strings to the cover fabric, which is another just extra security of keeping your signature in, and it's not going to wobble and all of that kind of stuff. Just throughout, maybe this is a journal that stays around in your family for decades or something. And so, you want it all to stay put. So anyway, make sure you get the glue on the signature strings. Okay, so there's that one. I don't know how far out I want it yet. Let's take a look at that, and then let's glue this down. Actually okay with the length of it. So let's go ahead and do it. And we're going to glue across here, just a line. And then I'm going to come and touch the flowers and get a little bit of glue on them. Not a lot, but a little. And this little drape right here is going to get squished, which makes me sad, but it's okay. If you have a silicone spatula, anytime you're gluing lace to a journal, whether it be pages or the cover or whatever, a silicone spatula is really nice because it'll pick up all that extra glue and save your fingers. So we've got that on there. And then that last little thing is this guy, and he does need inked just to cover up the little white bit of the cardstock from being manufactured, because this is a piece of Tim Holtz. So now that it's inked, and go right there on the front, and you can put it off the card. You could put it in the center. If we had done our lace different, you could put it in the center, but it really is designed to go over here to the side. So that's what we're going to do. Now, you could have put this on with like little brads or put it in a little frame or all kinds of other things. I'm just going to be super basic and glue it down. And I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac, even though this is paper, because it's going over top of lace. And you're going to need to be generous with that glue because it's going over a couple, the lace, the card, onto this other fabric back here. So we're going to let that sit before we mess with it too terribly much. There we go. And then just hold it. Thanks for joining, guys. I'm sorry I'm not feeling 100%. I'm working on it. I know lots of you guys out there also have colds and flus and probably even pneumonia like me, because apparently the virus that's going around is a respiratory virus. So this lace right here, I love it. It looks great. We might need another little embellishment up in this area. I'll hold for that until I get the journal finished. Now the lighting is super, super bright, but that's the front part of the journal. We'll do our signature string beads. In the kit, you guys got a variety of sizes of beads and some bronze colored metal charms to add to your signature strings. You could also use the beads and paper clips that were in your kit to make little bead dangles to come off the front lace. But for now, this is the front cover of this one. And I just have to watch it and make sure that nothing slides, nothing moves, as we're going to. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about doing some of the lace on the page edges and stuff like that. That way we can get that drape going, and then we'll do some embellishing of some of the pages. I have to do it because otherwise we'll run out of time, right? Christmas is what, 19 days away? So, yeah, we need to get it done. Trust me, the thought did pop in my mind this morning when I woke up of, I don't know if this is going to be the perfect day for this, but you know what? You got to get it done. I have a million things that need to get done before the end of the year. So anyway, we're going to have a seam binding closure on this guy. The seam binding is here. It is available. I'll sell it the very next time I sell. And so I have seam binding. It's crinkled seam binding in a variety of colors. It's exactly the stuff that's in my hand. And so you can choose to put gold on. You could choose to put it's like a creamy white, Christmas red. There is several reds and several greens. I don't have them all in here. I just have this, but there's 2 reds and 2 greens in a goldish kind of tan and off-white. So that's the seam binding I made for you guys. And, I could put red in here. That's pretty festive. It looks good. I could put gold. I'll probably put gold. I think that looks the best, But anyway, so I'll put an eyelet and I'll put seam binding, and that's the closure. So for now, I'm worried about this sliding. But for now, let's try to work on it. This is what the back looks like. It looks pretty good. We have some lint, but I can always take a lint roller at the end, right? So the back looks pretty good. We got quite a bit of scallop on the back, which made the back part of the cover look good. That's your actual spine. I can see a little bit that's sticking up here or there that I can come back and glue here in just a minute. But now our spine, our signature strings, they're all completely covered. It's really nice feeling in the hand too. So let's go ahead, continue to work, and we're going to add some lace onto. Let's see, we're an hour and 20 minutes in. Let's go ahead and deal with some of the, I'm at the point where I need to put these pockets in. I need to put these pockets in so that I can put lace on the bottom of the pockets and on the page edges. So then I can see where I need to add some embellishing in the journal. So unfortunately, I don't think there's another way of going about this other than you guys sitting here while I glue some pockets in. I was trying to not have to do that on camera because it does take time, but I need the pockets to be glued to the page to put the lace on, and I need that part to be done so I know where I need to add further decoration. So I'm going to be as quick as I can about it, and I'm going to get them on. So as long as they're inked, we're just going to glue them in. I did not bring my book weight in here or anything else, so we're just going to do our best. Let's see. So I will sell at least one day this week for sure, no matter how I feel, because we have stuff that has to be dealt with. So I will sell no matter what one day this week. I'm still hoping to do the 5-day super sale. I don't know if I have that in me, but I'm hoping to do it. So anyway, bear with me on that. I promise. I'm working as hard as I can work to get it done, but also, I don't know. I haven't been sick. I have not been sick like this in forever. And for whatever reason, this one is just really knocking me out. I guess I was due, right? So anyway. Oh, I'm sorry you're feeling bad too, Barb. I'm sorry. I know it's just that season or that time of year, right? But it's really hurting me. I took away Thanksgiving with my family, and it's really messing up our plans here with you guys. So anyway, hopefully, like I could glue lace right there right now, but I'm going to wait till I get them all glued in because I want to, and this one needs cut down. I want to choose 3 spots to add the lace at the bottom. So this one's got some typography over here on the side. I am going to try to trim some without trimming the whole thing. You trim just a little hair off. Let's do it again. There we go. And we're going to have to trim this side quite a bit because I know I only have 5 inches. Okay, perfect. That just trimmed off basically nothing on the edge of that postcard. So we're good there. We shouldn't have, other than the other postcard, we shouldn't have anything else to trim. And I'll just readjust the ink and we'll do it. Anyway, my point is I'm tired of complaining about being sick. I'm tired of being sick. And I would just like to move on to the things that we need to do here. So, luckily for my family, we have a laid back Christmas this year, but it's just, you know, I have a million things planned for you guys and us here, and it's really irritating to not get to do all of that. So anyway, my center hole is a little off because I had to trim my postcard. I want to make an adjustment so that that is better centered. So the way that you're going to do that is you can see where you can put it in, right? You're just going to do another one, line up one of the sides and do another one. And then you can line up the side again and clip a little more. And as long as you keep lining up the side of one of your pre-punched, line up where you've punched once before. As long as you keep one lined up, you can make that as wide as you want to make it, and it will still be mostly centered. Yes, so we're good. So you can repunch a thumb hole even with the tag punch or the tab punch. Just keep one side of it lined up. Because if you get it where it's not lined up, then you'll have like chomps instead of a nice oval. I really like the red with the red. That looks nice. And I'm gluing my pockets on where I have a little border. I try to keep them away from the center here because it adds too much bulk in the spine. And I leave a little border of paper around the outside edges. I know I'm going to add lace to the bottoms of some. This is a good option for lace because it's kind of a plain pocket. So zhuzhing it up with a little lace down there will be good too. And this is what I chomped. I just kept it lined up and chomped a little bit extra over. All right, so there's that guy. He's in there. Next, we have this one. This one is a tuck and a tag pocket. So a tag is going to go in here, but he's also going to be a tuck. So he needs glued on the left side and the bottom. And he's a little bit weightier. I hope that you guys found some good Black Friday deals out there. I didn't even get to do shopping yet. Thank you guys for being here and listening to me gripe about being sick week after week. I don't know why it has to last weeks and whatever. I don't know. The pneumonia thing, I knew because on Tuesday I saw you guys. And on Wednesday, I woke up that morning and I'm like, oh, I can feel it rattling. I can feel it kind of feeling full and achy over there. And I just felt really lousy Wednesday morning. So then I called, went to the doctor or had the doctor's appointment. And I did a telehealth one because I couldn't get in. So anyway, Wednesday, got the antibiotics late at night on Wednesday. And I felt instantly better on Thursday and Friday because it's a Z-Pack. Thursday and Friday was okay. It's just still feeling really tired. So there's that kind of tuck pocket back there. And again, everything's like kind of washed out. It's almost too bright now. Let me just adjust down a little now that we're in the journal. Anyway, so there's that guy. Let's get this one in. This one we're going to do a little chomp. I might do quite a bit of a chomp because I'm going to do a little more. Because it's going to be a tuck, you don't have to do a chomp at all, but I liked to, so I did. But anyway, I kept as much of the writing as I could just going to blend that a little bit better. There we go. And glue it in. So this is just a tuck. I wish that I could find the stamps for these. I think I might have linked some in the video where I did it. I've inked the back because I thought this was going to be a journal card. But anyway, those stamps, I think you can find something similar on Amazon right now. The doily stamps. So it's not a pocket on the front. It's just, it's sliding everywhere. It's just a tuck. And what a simple little decorated tuck though. Like these would take no time at all to just mass make. And if you did them gold like this, if you use gold in journals, that would be like you could just have them on hand for future journals. Or you could do them pink. If whatever color you mostly work in, you could stamp them in that and emboss them. Like if you mostly work in neutrals, you could do whites or, vintage photo or whatever, embossing powder. So I think that's a good option for a mass make. So that's what we have there. I should have been showing you as we went, but like the up version instead of the glare version. So there's that one and that one. And again, it's a tuck right there. Okay, moving forward. Next is this guy, and we need to do a Tim Holtz strip, which we have them over there. So let's get the flip part done first, and then we'll come in and do the Tim Holtz one. Sorry. And I am going to leave it up a little bit. I think it just looks better. See the difference of all the way down and just leaving it up a little bit. I like it better, so I'm going to leave it up a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's so tiring. It's all ridiculous at this point, and I'm tired of it. Anyway, we're going to glue the entire envelope flap closed and onto the previous page, because don't glue like right up in the crease. I kept my glue out of the crease here a little bit, but I'm going to glue it to where it's going to glue down to the page. And I'm going to put it over the edge where I want it to go, and then just press it on. As long as it's all the way even with the page, you've pressed it on, there's nothing there, then you're good. So just press it, glue it. And right here, we're going to cover this envelope flap because this was made from an envelope, the big window envelope in your kit. And then you can put a tag down in there. So anyway, we're going to cover this right now. And I decided to cover that with a Tim Holtz strip. And I have them in here, hopefully. I did have them in here the other day. I don't know where I put them. But wherever they're hiding, that's what we're using for this project. Apparently, we will have to come back to that. Wait, will we? Are they right here? No, they are not right there. They're in here somewhere, and I will find them shortly. But a Tim Holtz strip, and you're only going to glue it right here on the right edge. When you put that strip on here, don't glue the top, don't glue the bottom. You can, but I'm just going to glue mine right here, and then it's going to be a tuck right there. So that use the whole width of the Tim Holtz strip so that you get a tuck that you can tuck like a journal card in right there. Anyway, we have journaling space on the back. So I did add journaling space as many places as I could. And right here, this is kind of plain. And so if you take a little tiny like Tim Holtz embellishment, specifically something red because I have a lot of green, this is kind of big, but you could decorate that. It's kind of big, but you could put something there so that you have a little, a little something. Again, it's kind of big. All I can find are big things. But anyway, because this is kind of neutral, you could even do like a little stamp, like an ink stamp or something. You don't want to take away journaling space, but you could decorate it a little. Anyway, that's that. I don't know. And then I don't have a big tag to shove in there at the moment, but it's a window envelope that a tag goes in. Okay, moving on. This guy right here, you could cut him open at the top. You could cut him open at the side, or you could just leave him as he is. I'm just going to leave him as he is because he has a big opening. If it was more of a small opening, I would consider cutting open something else to get in and out of the envelope. But it's a big opening right here, so I'm just going to stick something in there from that side. We do need to cut open some bags and other things we have sewn in, but anyway, this guy is next. He needs a little more inking. He's inked, but on this page, everything else is very vintage, photo colored. So we're just going to ink him up and stick him on. He's super sweet right there. These were the ones that were made from music cards. The music cards are in my Etsy. And so we made so many things for you guys. And I was like, I'm going to cry if we make, you know, all of the stuff and I can't share it with you guys because it's getting ridiculous. Although I did not get to make everything I wanted. This is a 5-inch card. So I did leave a little bit of an edge, but it pretty much fits all the way on the page. You never do Black Friday? I don't do Black Friday in person. I do Black Friday online. I haven't been Black Friday in person since the 90s or very early 2000s with my teenage daughter. You know, that was always fun, but it was always exhausting too. I don't even know if they, like, when we were doing it it was probably early 2000s. I don't know. Maybe 90s. No, early 2000s. They had the stores open on Thanksgiving. And that always took away from Thanksgiving. Like, we didn't go on Thanksgiving. We went on Friday morning. But it always took away from Thanksgiving whenever people in my family, whatever, were trying to do Black Friday shopping and the stores open on Thanksgiving. So thankfully we don't have that. Or at least we didn't have that in our family. Okay, so I'm going to glue this one down. This one's just made out of some folded over and glued. It's a newer book page even. It's just a super simple pocket. And it was just quick little collage and some napkin collage. And most of the ephemera I did make in 365 videos. I had hoped to make more. But honestly, talking is not my favorite thing right now because it hurts and it's uncomfortable. It's just a lot of like, I don't know how to explain it. Uncomfortableness in my throat. My voice does sound better though. It's not quite as croaky as before. I know I'm getting better, just taking its time. Yeah, I only Black Friday shop online, but I didn't do any shopping so far. I bought some things for you guys. I didn't buy anything else. Okay, so there's that. Again, I'm sorry about my neighbor and the music, but this is what they are doing. So we're going to put this one on as a tuck back here. And it's a pocket here and a pocket down here. So I'm going to glue down this side and down this side. Don't want to glue it the wrong way. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. What are you guys going to do for the rest of your weekend? What are your weekend plans? I have to live vicariously through you guys now. Because I do not get to go and do anything. It's killing me mostly because I haven't been able to see my grandson. Because he's, you know, he's so young. I'm not going to get him sick. So good. I'm glad you can't hear the music. Cooking, that sounds lovely. For your kit, yeah, because you're in Canada. How is mail happening in Canada right now? Anybody else here in Canada? I think you guys are not having a postal strike right now. Is that accurate? Or are they still every other week? So it's a tuck back there and pockets here. Awesome. Awesome. Love that. All right, so let's get this guy glued in. Now it's glassine, and the glassine will show glue, so I'm going to try to put, I'm going to try. It really does need to be glued all the way down. I am going to try to do a little glue stick to this guy and add some art glitter. Normally, I think I would just add art glitter, but I'm going to try some of this. Because you can see the glue, and it's not a problem except for, and two things to point out here. It's not a problem except for when the tag is out of the bag, you'll be able to see it. And the reason why I'm keeping that tag in the bag is because it adds sturdiness to a glassine bag. I forgot to add my art glitter, but I am going to do it. Maybe I'm not because it's glued on there. So anyway, I meant to add art glitter glue behind the Uhu, but whatever. It glued it. It likes it. It's sticking down. So anyway, I added the tag and left the tag in, even though it's not decorated, just for stability in this little pocket. But that's super cute. We'll decorate the tag, or I'll use a pre-decorated one that I already have. Now this guy, he's already got a thumb, a little hole punch there, which normally, you know, I wouldn't choose this guy to add here, but the only other option is like the cutoff envelope pocket thing. I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to do that. That way I can save him and use him as a tag. And I stuck him right in my ephemera bin and he went right in there. That's like the perfect combination. We're going to need to find a place to put that, but I did swap it out for the cutoff of my envelope. I can still keep with the red color theme. We're going to do that guy right there. And he can be glued down all the way. Yes, all the way. So anyway, I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of shopping to do. My kids are grown. Kids are grown, don't have a whole lot to do. I would like to get some groceries eventually, but other than that. All right, so let's get this guy in there. And he's just going to stay over here in this corner. And that shows off that beautiful green wallpaper really well too. So that's good. It's a good option. Good place for him. And we glued him completely flat because he is an envelope and he opens right there. Okay, so there's that one. I like that. I'm happy about saving that tag. Now we have this, and this was the only one I contemplated about covering up journaling space. I'm going to save that for just a minute and skip it. This bag right here, it needs opened on this edge or it needs opened at the top. And I like to do it after I sew everything in. This is my normal way. So let's get this guy sized. He's the other postcard. He's the one that's too big, but he does have a frame around him. So we can just use that frame as a guide and trim this guy down a little bit. More or less. More or less. And then re-ink him quick and glue him in. Again, we pretty much did the same off of each side, so I shouldn't have to repunch that thumb hole, but if I do, I will. And he goes right here, and that's good. I like it. I do want more ink, but other than that, we're good. All right. How many of you are looking forward to the sale for shopping? Because some of you, I don't, like I'm just trying to gauge how many people will be like super, super disappointed if I don't do 5 days of sales. At the present time, I know I cannot do 5 days of sales, but I mean, you know, it's a Z pack. So hopefully it's supposed to like, you only take it for 8 days, or no, you take it for 5 days, but it works for 8 days. So hopefully it starts working here and everything is fine. But I wonder how many people are actually going to be disappointed if we don't have like 5 days of sales. I hate disappointing people. The mail is fine. That's good. That's good. I'm glad they're not doing strikes anymore. They must have worked it out. And I appreciate you guys joining any day that I do, but I just hate to disappoint people. I mean, if we don't get to some items, they'll be here for next year, but still. Some people wanted some Christmas gifts. All right, so this one is glued in, and the only other thing I have is that bag. So I'm not putting it on a coffee dyed because I don't want to take away the journaling space. I'm going to go ahead and stick it here. I have 0 other places to put it. I could have refolded and stuck it on the back of that. I just really don't want to. I just really don't want to. Yeah, I guess it's going to go there because there really isn't another spot. I mean, there's the back side of this, but it's a thinner, French document. And again, that's journaling space. So at some point, you know, we're just going to have to cover it up, and that's what it's going to be. So let's do it and get it glued in, and then everything can at least be glued in on one, and we can move on to lace. And this guy, he doesn't need to be a pocket back there because he has a big bag pocket here. We're just going to add the Oohoo for stability. She says. I don't know where. Oh, here it is. Like, I don't know where I put that. There we go. And then because this is a big one, make sure that you do use art glitter glue as well as Oohoo. That Oohoo is just going to give it a really nice solid hold, especially up here on the flap. Okay. And then this one I will remember to actually add the art glitter for security. So we've got double stuck. Love it. All right. I think the lace part is one of my favorites because it means like we're really nearly done. Just make sure it's straight before you really stick it. And this is just a little Christmas sack that we put some collaging on. We put some of Tim Holt's vintage tape on. And a vintage found relative Tim Holtz photo. So we kept it really simple, and it was an easy make. Sorry, it's choking me. All right, let's do lace. Moving on, moving away from paper and onto lace. And then we're going to decorate the tops of some pages, the bottoms of some pages. We need to make some little fabric clusters. We need to staple some things in, do some zhuzhing. But we can't do that until we know, you know, like looking at it now, yeah, it's got pockets in. It's starting to fluff. It's got pockets, but it's still very, you know, very thin, right? Even if I added ephemera, it's still very thin. Let's go through and figure out where we're putting lace. So I want three 3 pocket, preferably the bottoms of 3 pages in the front half and the bottoms of 3 pages in the back half. So we're talking about adding the lace across the bottom of the page, and that lace dangles out typically. Doesn't have to, but usually it does, right? So I like to add it on the first, and the last is okay. Do we have one over here? We don't. So because it's a center spread, whatever you do regarding the center spread needs to be even. And we have a pocket here where we could add lace, but we don't have a pocket here. And I could just come in and glue lace across the bottom. That's an option. But usually I end up adding lace here. So we'll see if we do the center. But for now, we're going to do this one and then one in the middle-ish area. In the middle, we don't have that type of pocket. We have a tuck and we have a flip out. So in the middle, it's not really an option. We're going to have to glue it on the page. Yes, we are, because we have lots of side tucks and whatever. So let's start working on the front one. In the back here, if I find this same page in the back to add lace to it, we would again have to glue onto the paper, which is not a terrible thing. I'm just going to glue the front and the back lace right at the bottoms of these pockets. And I'm going to come in the middle section, so whatever's left here, and just find a random page and put lace at the bottom of it. So let's get that started. For laces, I want 3 different lengths or widths of lace. I know that I'm going to use the gold. And I know that I'm going to use this white one. So I'm going to be layering gold and white. And I don't know if I'm going to layer this one. I think that's like a bit too much, like ruffliness. So let's add maybe this guy. I've got 3 different colors. I've got a white, a gold, and something in between. I also have the gold one that came with the kit. Let's go ahead and add the gold one that came with the kit. Let's see. Let's add it in. Let's add it in the front and the back. So we'll see this one. We're going to put it actually on backwards, because while it looks nice this way, it will look better poking out this way. Yeah, let's add that. Okay. So I can do the whole length of the page, or I can do just across the pocket. It doesn't really matter there. We're just going to cut it. You should be able to do 2 pockets with the lace that came in your kit. So there's that guy. Perfect. Again, I'm going to add Fabri-Tac. They advertise as blue and the white one shows up. The blue one is the same as the clear. It's just blue so you can see where you put it. Now, sometimes when you order the blue one, if you receive one and it shows on the front of your glue stick that it is blue, sometimes just that top little layer, it either gets like oxidized, or sometimes they're older if they sit in, people's warehouses or whatever. It depends on where you're buying it from too, But sometimes if they're older, they will get a little white. And sometimes the cold will make them a little white on the top. But then after you use it a little off the top, you'll get blue in the inside. Or worst case scenario, it will stay white, but it still works just the same. Okay. So there's that one glued on. Now, normally when I'm adding lace, I will have plastic bags to put in between the pages, so the pages do not stick to each other. Sorry if you can see my head or my hair, but I had to dig underneath my desk for some plastic bags. The tube says blue, but it is clear. It's probably just that it's sat in somebody's warehouse and it's older. The blue will go away. It will, because it's made to disappear, right? So it's not it's not like supposed to be like Sharpie blue permanent forever, but it will go away as it gets older. So as the stick itself gets older, sits in somebody's warehouse, etc. So just be aware that if you get it and it says blue and it's white, it will probably still work the same. But if it's dry to you and it feels old, then just return it wherever you got it from. Tell them that it's, it's not blue and it's old and it's not sticking or whatever, right? We buy glue because it needs to stick. So you could return it if it's not sticky. So the middle one is the one that I want. Do I want this one? The gold one here? Yes, let's do the gold one in the middle. Let's go ahead and do that now because we know where that one's going. So sometimes you can stick plastic underneath as you add glue. Because this is the middle of my signature, I will stress about it and go ahead and do that. But yeah, if it says blue, it is supposed to be blue, but I know from experience, the first ones that I ever got, the first Oohoo sticks I ever got, they were from Amazon and they were the blue ones and they were not sticky at all. And they were very, very faintly blue, if at all blue. And so they get old. I don't know. Something happens. The blue goes out. And I don't know, if it's sitting in an Amazon warehouse and nobody ever orders it, or if it's bought off Etsy, a lot of Etsy sellers are smaller sellers and they don't turn over the inventory quite as fast as other places do. So it's possible that you could get old glue stick that way too. Just moving it up a little bit. There we go. I've got this little point that's being difficult back here. I don't want it to be stuck in the center of my journal, so I'm pulling my lace just slightly. There we go. Yeah, seeing it is very important because if you can't see where you've applied a glue stick, chances are you're going to end up with air bubbles or, it won't be stuck. Your edges won't be stuck, etc. So I think the blue is the best one to get. So there's that sticking out of there. That's pretty good. We've got that. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to leave this stuck here for 1 second, and we're going to just flip and do the other one. Now, we don't have a pocket on this one, but it's still going to be okay. Don't want to get glue on my signature strings because, again, this is the center spread. This was Tim Holtz French Industrial Paper. Okay. I don't have my book weight in here. So let's work this way this time. Whoopsie. Need my edge to be straight. And I'm going to put it in and push it up. Perfect. And there's that one. So we're going to have another journal kit come out while I am on Christmas vacation, unless I am still ill or whatever, which I don't anticipate being. But we actually started cutting things for that journal, for the January journal already. So another journal will come out in January. And in January, we'll talk about, so this is the way it's going to work. We'll talk about the journal kits and subscriptions and all of that. So right here is our 2 lace panels, and they go with that center spread. And the reason why I would not add lace here if I was going to add lace here. Normally I add lace to the side edges, but for this one in particular, I know that I want to clip some things in, to paper clip some things right here to decorate my center spread. It'll have clipped in ephemera right here. So I just added the lace at the bottom so that I still get the lacy look in the center, but I can still put my paper clipped ephemera right there. Okay, so the only other one I'm missing is something in the middle. We have quite a bit of paper here. I keep looking at this green one. I'm worried it will interfere with our Tim Holtz plan. Let's do this one right here. So we're just going to add white lace. I don't want to cover up here. It looks great, but I don't want to cover it up. Meh. We're going to do it there. It's very hard for me to decide sometimes. And I guess we do need to leave that point over. Okay. So I added 3 different pieces of lace, and I'll add the same 3 in the back, but at least we have lace done on the bottoms. We still have to add it on the page edges. Let's add it. Okay. And I tried to keep my laces where they're all 3 wide, all 3 different widths, so that they will stick out, hopefully, in different places. And I don't normally just glue lace to bottoms of pages, but in this journal, that's what we have. So that's what we did. And I think we're safe to move this one over here now. So from the front, you're going to have, it's plastic in there, but you're going to have it where you can see the points of the lace pillowing out the bottom. So that's going to be good. We're going to leave that plastic for a moment. Sometimes I come in and add like a little cut doily piece just because this straight line kind of starts to get to me. So a little doily thing. Let's go ahead. I don't need to glue the lace edge. I don't think I need to glue the lace on the edge of the pages to continue. So let's just press this down, let that plastic sit for a minute. Let me go get some embellishments and let's start embellishing these pages. The first thing I want to do is I want to look at where I added the lace and do any embellishing there. I also want to be looking at the tops. So every single one of these pages, I'm going to flip through. I don't add anything in here because I don't want heavy stuff on these little book pages, first of all. And I don't want to do really anything to this one because it's just kind of giving you a taste of what this journal is about. So I don't really decorate that front page. In this one here, we do have some options for doing some other decorating. We could do a little collaging right here. I do have, let's see. Let me get this put away for a second. I do have scraps of paper that you could just do a little collaging, just some little scraps of paper. And this is what we tore off of our cover. So I've got that. I've got another little scrap that we could tear. I think that's a bit too much Florentine for my taste. Let's see. We've got this little scrap here. And so I can just take it, tear the text part out of it. I don't really care for the margins. So I tore that out. You can glue that, and one more little thing right here. And then that takes that page, which is kind of plain, and moves it to something that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to bring the lighting down a little bit. Okay. Let's go ahead and find one more little element. In my scraps, I've got this little tiny bit of ledger. So we're just going to make a little paper cluster right here. Just a little paper cluster, and we're just going to glue that down. And all you're doing is adding a little bit of embellishing. I'm trying to use this whole piece, but I don't know if I can. Honestly, I really like this piece, and I didn't really like anything else there. So we could even, because this is letterpress, I could glue this in as a little tiny tuck pocket right there. And I think I'm just going to do it. That one just happens to work out that way. So I'm going to go for the little tuck pocket. I'm not going to do any further embellishing. It's just a little, because this is super thick letterpress paper. You can't do this with regular paper. I mean, you shouldn't, because it's probably going to tear. But for this one, it's thick enough. It's embossed. It's just a little tuck. It's not going to hold very much. And it's going to embellish this bottom corner, which has bothered me since I put this page in this journal. So we're just going to get that on there. Now we have a little tiny torn tuck pocket there. That's it. Done. Moving on. Don't even have to fill it with ephemera. You know, it's really more of a decoration, but because they could add a piece of ephemera there, I left it so that they could tuck something in. Okay, moving on. I saved those little torn off bits. We'll use them. Like, this is the kind of embellishing, just adding something to the page. You're not really taking away much journaling space. You could come in and stamp here, but they could write back here too. So just keep that in mind. But if you find a section where it's just too plain, then you're going to want to do some clustering up here. And we also can do stapled in fabric clusters. So we're going to do those here in a minute. Right now, I'm looking for places to add little paper clusters. That's the step I'm on, is little paper, and I'm just using scraps. Like if I pull out this pile of trash, basically, this is a pile of trash that we have had going. I have a weird little moth and some weird tape stuff that's laying around here. And that. And I don't think there's anything else. Oh, this string and these little guys. So these we'll use when we get to the fabric embellishing. But right now we're just dealing with paper scraps. Paper scraps. Okay, so there's my trash pile. I think we're good here. We're good there. Again, they have some journaling space here. This one. Washi tape is another good option for this. You could basically achieve the same thing with just a little bit of washi tape. Sorry, guys. Sometimes it kicks me out. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes it says you're done. But anyway, just little bits of washi tape or scraps or trash or whatever, and just start gluing them in. Just make little clusters in your hand where things look good together and kind of glue them to the bottom of a page. Like right there, that looks pretty good. The only thing I'm not happy with is, you know, the straight edge. So we'll fix that. And I'm just going to glue these in right here with the glue stick. And it's just something extra, something unexpected. And it's just, you know, that's fine by itself. This is just a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully it's working again. Sometimes it kicks me out of my own live and then, you know, I have to come back in. But All right, so we're just going to add trash. Use up all those little scraps. You know, these little things are hard to use. Really, the only other thing you can do, they're too small for master boards. You know, really only other thing you have an option to do with these is to make little clusters. And so we're just making the little cluster right there on the paper. Okay, so there's that one. It just adds a little something old to a brand new printed page. We should decorate something here. I don't know what exactly, but some kind of little fussy cut or Tim Holtz piece or something should go on this little envelope. But we didn't do it yet, so oh well. We'll leave it. This right here, we probably should do some kind of decorating also, or embellishing, or clusters. It's a pretty sturdy paper. Maybe I could staple some fabric up there. And so this is really plain, really, really plain. The best thing for this, since it's writing space, is an ink stamp. Just find because it's kind of a green ledger paper, find a red image, a red ink and a Christmassy image and stamp it right there. That's really the best thing to do with that. I didn't bring a red ink in here, but just a random like 25 number stamp is also a good option. I'm going to save stamping for later. I don't feel like getting that mess out right now. But something here, because this page has also bothered me. So let's do something here. And by bothered, it's a perfectly fine page. It's just my brain wants something else. I don't know if bored is the correct answer, but it just wants something. It wants a little extra. And I know what I want right there. I want some gold Florentine paper right there. So I need to move all my things. They're everywhere. Let's find some gold Florentine paper. Sorry for my reaching in front of you. This is the pile I need right here. I'm going to take this out now. I have a scrap pile that I've been hiding over here to the side. And that's the pile I need. Because it's all my trash. All my trash. Yes, this. There's always more piles of things, right? So anyway, any of this can be used in these clusters that we're making right on the page. So any of this kind of stuff. I did not find gold Florentine paper in there, but that's okay. I see it. It's right here. So if I'm going to use it as an embellishment and it's going to go on the page that way, I just need a corner. So here's some more to add to our lovely little pile. I'm going to tear that white out of that. Okay. I just wanted some gold on this one. I feel like it's beautiful the way it is, but a little gold adds a little touch of elegance. So let's add some gold Florentine paper. Just a tiny little torn scrap. Okay. I'm actually going to add fabric here. The reason why is because we already have something thick right there. I don't want to glue more to that because it's going to add moisture and it could glue that pocket closed. So I'm just going to staple some lacy bits right here. I changed my mind. Yeah. So let's grab some fabric and some lace and just make a little lacy. I can still add some gold, in fact. Make a little lacy cluster right there. And it's just something pretty on the page, but the person could choose to use it if they want to. Definitely want that white up there on the top. I like it like this. I'm going to have to change it. So it's just going to get stapled with the Tim Holtz tiny attacher right there. And normally to cover up my staples, I'll take a little leftover bit and just glue that right there to cover up my staple. So some kind of little, either a crochet flower or whatever to cover up my staple. Unfortunately, I don't have my stapler in here, but I'm going to leave those there and we're going to staple those. So that's going there. Let's look at gluing some more paper. I tore that bit out. And I have this, which is mostly torn out. We have some book page right there, though. Let's keep looking. Uh-oh. We're good. That's pretty enough. That's okay. The Tim Holtz thing's going there. And it's okay to do it up here on rag paper, too. Like you could just staple in a little paper cluster right there. This one is begging for one. So one of these pages has to have some more embellishing. It's too plain. So let's do it down this one because this one is the bigger page. So let's grab this and skinny it up. So you're just taking all your leftover bits and you're finding a home for them, making little clusters. Make little clusters out of your leftover lace bits that you used to do the pages with. So we're just going to add a little paper one here. Let's make this go the other way. That's okay, but I like that side better. And then we need color for this one. I knew we were going to use this green at some point. Yeah, little journals are fabulous. I actually have one. I found one of the little mini greeting card journals. We're still going to do it as a class, but I found one of the original ones that I made. I was thinking of doing it down the side of the page, but I think I'm going to keep this all up here. I can't do it that way. It has to be this way. I think we're going to do it there. And I might just want to staple it. I do. So I'm just going to staple this guy right here. I still want music, but I can't find the right music at the moment. So we're going to staple a paper cluster right up here at the top. You know, they'll have to have some kind of little finishing focal point, but whatever is going to be fine right there. And staple it. And I'm just going to leave them free flowing. I'm not going to glue them down. So that can go there. I really should just go get the Tim Holtz stapler. I'm going to keep fighting it and then I'm going to go do it. Okay, we have this, which is beautiful and I don't want to mess with. This is pretty beautiful also, so I think we're good. And this is where I'm going to pin stuff in, so I don't want to mess with that either. Let me go grab some more lace and the tiny attacher so we can really get this done. Instead of just telling you, oh, I'm going to. Let me just go do it. Okay, so here's what I grabbed. I grabbed the fabric cluster box and I grabbed fabric scraps and lace scraps. And I grabbed the stapler so I can actually get these done. And so just going to make a little cluster in my hand. I'm not going to put the focal point on until after I staple. You do want to make sure you're not stapling over something that you're going to be upset about on the other side. And then you're going to cover your staple if you care. Some people don't care. Some people want to see the staple. You're going to see it on the back side unless you cover the back anyway. But so there's that one. And it's just a paper cluster. If you want to go in and you want to add some glue because you're like, oh, that's moving way too much, then you could add a little for stability. But honestly, you don't have to. Here's a little for stability. Okay, that's done. Back here, we were going to add something somewhere. We did glue that one down. Where's my other little one that needed glued? Right here. This guy needs stapled. And we need a little something else in there to zhuzh that up. I only do 3s or 5s or something more than 2, right? I can't have just 2. So I've got to find a little scrap. Let's see what we have. I'm trying to see everything and it's just not letting me. I don't want to give up anything. And so we're just going to glue or staple. Make sure you don't staple your envelope right there. You're going to keep that staple pretty high up there. And I'm letting it flow outside of the page. I'm going to do 2 staples right there because we got some thicker lace. That's good right there. We're fine. And then to cover up that staple, I've got a little, I could do a little of that. Actually, I think I just want a little crochet. So let's grab the crochet. So this is the bag of, I don't know, this is more medium size, but some little element like this to cover up the little staple bit. And he will get glued on with Fabri-Tac. So these are super simple. They shouldn't take you bunches and bunches of time. You should be able to get them on there pretty quick. And again, it's just covering that staple. So there's that one. They can snip that off. They can use that if they wish to. And because we have this right here, it's a good idea to find some kind of a little element and cover that. You're going to glue this down to the paper so that you can still have your tuck there. But it's just because like somebody's going to, it's fine really, but I just stress about somebody catching themselves on it. So I'm just going to glue something over it quick. It kind of goes with the rest of our Tim Holtzy envelope. So I'm just going to do it. Normally I don't really staple where somebody's going to put their hand, but I'm just worried that somebody will stick their hand right there. So now I've got something covering my staples. And it's not interfering with my pocket, and it kind of goes in line with everything else. So that's fine. We're going to keep moving. Let's do, I'm just going to leave these glues over here and open because we're probably just going to keep using them. So I want to come back to this front pocket, this guy, and he needs a little embellishment right here. And I have this little cutoff. And it can go there. I like them on the outside edge because they add less bulk. Let's see what else I have in this bag. Here's one that's more open. So I'm going to glue one of these right there. Yep. So it's just kind of breaking up that line, and it adds a little something instead of just, oh, I glued lace right here. So there's that little, and this is like a little connector bit from something crocheted. And I'll hold that up here in just a second. So it's just that little connecty bit, and all of his little strings are loose, and he'll be glued right there on that pocket. So far, we're okay. This looks good here. Need to do a little bit more top embellishing. Looking for a page where we could add something else to the top. That one is kind of focused at the top already, so I don't really want to add anything up there. Let's see. I looked at this one originally. Some music would be good here. Like just a little bit of music. This one might be okay. It's a little too big. I'm going to attempt to resize it. I might actually do it more right there. I don't know. I'm struggling with that one. Let's lose a bar. Let's see if that helps us. That is better. I even could go up here, which I do like more. So let's put it here. And then we're going to need a little something else with that. Where is the little... That's okay, but we need one more thing. I have green music, which also would have been cute right there. So, yeah, the idea is to use your trash, but if your brain lets you, you're all good. If your brain doesn't let you, then you have to make stuff out of new pieces of paper, thus making more trash. We're just getting a little bit too big and a little too wide right there. I'm going to change my mind. I like the white because of the white in this picture. So I'm just going to do two pieces right there. I can come back in later and add a third little element, maybe from the Tim Holtz scrap bits, but I'm just going to add two pieces. How can I include a gorgeous, fairly wide ribbon as a closure? I haven't sewn in your signature because you're thinking you need to sew in on the outside or the inside, like all the way across. So the wide ribbon, if you really, really like it, I would not do eyelets. I would just wrap the wide ribbon around it, just tie it around it as a closure. It doesn't have to go through eyelets. It could literally just be tied around the journal. So that's what I would do if I had something fabulous that I really, really liked. I would just tie it around the journal and just tuck it through and keep the journal closed like that. If the other question about sewing in the signature. Let me read that again. Sewing in the signature. Sew in on the outside or the inside, like all the way across. I need help with that. Why can you not do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch? Why would that not work for you? Maybe I'm just not understanding the question. Do you have more than one signature in your journal, or do you just have one signature? So again, we just added a little touch of something up there. And what it does for me is it ties in that white of the picture. It brings the white up here, gives us a little more red. I covered up a tiny little flower. I am not sad about it. It's okay. I really wish I knew. They were right here. We had them. I had them out. I even chose one. They got to be in this pile over here. But I even chose one of those to put on that. Anybody else with questions, let me know, and I'll do my best, assuming my brain will work. Anybody else have any questions about finishing off this Christmas journal or anything like that? I'm going to look in this pile and find this Tim Holtz thing so that we can keep going. Because I have whole big bunches. Napkin decoupage is also good on pages to embellish the tops. Sorry for sticking like my whole person in this camera at this point. I just need to grab this entire pile. And it's going to be messy, but it is real life. So this is the pile. This is the pile. And I do not see Tim Holtz things. We chose one. We had it picked out. I have a bunch of rag paper. Oh, I wanted to use this marble paper too. And I could use it for decorating, but I have Braille paper. Where are the Tim Holtz things? This is going to drive me insane because I know we had them. Okay. Well, wherever they've gone to, I'll have to find them because I need the Christmas ones. The everyday ones don't work for me. I need the Christmas Tim Holtz. Well, oh my gosh, they are right here. Cool. After looking every other place possible. They're right here. They're right where we put them. Good to know. We'll put them back in the basket so we don't lose them again. But anyway, let me scroll down and see this question. Could I sew it at the page edges like a belly band all the way across? The ribbon. So you could put the ribbon if you're intent on securing the ribbon to the journal. If you haven't sewn in a signature yet, you could put it horizontally and then sew your signature over the top of it. Ideally, if you were going to put a ribbon in as a closure like that, you would have put that ribbon in before you put your panels on the inside. So if you're going to do it after you put the panels, it's going to show, right? You're going to have that ribbon coming through here. It'll be okay, but you are going to have to glue that ribbon to keep it secure. I guess if you sew around your cover and sew over here, it could work as a belly band, but I don't know how well it would hold things in at the bottom and not fall out the journal. You'll have to figure that out. But ideally, when you put a ribbon in as a closure, you put the ribbon in and then put your panels on top of it so that you don't see that ribbon coming across here. If you're going to do it now and it's going to be here, you're going to have to secure it here. Probably best way is with a sewing machine. And then you're going to secure it here when you sew your signature in. So it's possible. Anything's possible. You'll have to figure out how that works for you. Hopefully that is your question. Or hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so we just need to trim off a little section of this. I don't know how much, but I really like this green plaid, so I'm going to try to keep it. And of course, cut it completely crooked, but there we go. That's going to be my tuck right there. And it's not that I loved these gentlemen that are there, and I've talked about that before. It's just that they're there, so we're just going to leave them there. They're cute. They're in plaid shirts. So this is going to be my tuck. You could thumb hole punch this right here to show people, hey, you could tuck something in. And I'm going to do it just because, but only a tiny one. And then I'm just going to ink this. We're going to glue this down, and then that's going to be covered. And so if I end up putting more than 6 pockets in a journal, and if I have the ephemera, great. If I don't have the ephemera, for something like this, it's okay to leave certain things that are just tiny little tucks, like this guy up here. It's okay to leave this with nothing in it. Generally, when I ship something, I'll tuck like a little Tim Holtz card or something, but it doesn't have to be like a handmade piece of ephemera. That actually looks really cute. It doesn't have to be a handmade piece of ephemera every single time. So just know if you add more than 6, don't feel like you're obligated to be like, oh, I have to fill every single 20 million pockets. You don't. First of all, if you were going to fill them, you could fill them with like actual old ephemera that's folded up and just put into a pocket. You could just fold up some coffee dyed paper and put that in there. You could use like the pre-made tags, like the ones that you print out. You could do that. And this is really more of a paper clip than anything else. A tuck is really a paper clip. And so we're just getting it right on the edge of the page. Right on the edge, covering up that whole line right there. Covering up the window and gluing it down. I did not glue down here and up here. I just glued the side edge because you could glue right here. That would be fine. But now I can tuck a whole, I have nothing in this room, which is impossible because you guys know I have everything in this room. But you could tuck something really big in there now because you have that flexibility, and it's still going to hold it like a paper clip does. So there's that. If you glue right here and right here, it limits your space of just putting like a little journal card in, which is probably what most people would put there anyway. So it would be fine, but I left it as a flap. Okay, there's that. It's covered now. Super simple. What else do we want to do with this part? I think I would like to do some little fabric clusters now. Yes, that's it. I haven't glued down panels yet, but it looks like, but it's a thick ribbon, so trying of just tying it around. Yeah, if it's super bulky, yeah. If it's, you know, thick, not wide, but thick as in dimensional, then yeah, you're going to have a hard time putting a panel over that. It might work as a belly band, but you would have to sew it, because even if you glued it right here, it wouldn't stay. It would have to be sewn with the sewing machine because it's a closure, right? So people are going to be pulling on it. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents about it. Maybe there's somebody else that has a better idea, but that's the way I've, if I very rarely will do a closure that way, but, and I'll tell you, I'll be 100% honest and tell you right now why I don't usually do closures that way. Because they do add the bulk back there, right? But sometimes it's possible to put them on the front. So you don't have to do the ribbon the whole width of the cover. You don't have to do the ribbon across the whole way. You could just put a section of ribbon glued and then sewn here at the edge, and it would come out the side right here, but it would be under the front cover or under the back cover. But That's an option too, just to cut it and have a little bit. But if it's super bulky, you're still going to run into that problem. But the reason why I don't like to do it that way is because you have to be super precise lining your ribbons up and making sure that they're coming out exactly perfect, which it's not really that hard, but it's an annoyance thing to me. So they have to be lined up exactly perfect. B, when you're pulling on something to close a journal and it's not like it doesn't have eyelets, like there's a possibility you could pull out a whole chunk of your journal cover, depending on what you made your journal cover out of. There's a possibility that that ribbon is going to rip and tear out of there. When you do the eyelet kind, even if somebody doesn't like the seam binding, there's a hole there for them to add whatever kind of closure they want. They could add the elastic kind of closure if they get it super gator mouthed. So the hole in the eyelet system allows for much more options later on. Now the ribbon one, yeah, you could tie it bigger, whatever, if you left the tails longer. I just, I think that you're going to do it this time and you're going to say, okay, I use that for a closure and that's great. But my question to you is was it worth it? That big, beautiful ribbon that you're dying to use, maybe use in a different way that shows off that ribbon and not as a closure. That would be my advice. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like, oh, I hate this idea. I don't hate the idea. It's a lovely idea. It's just with a big bulky ribbon, it would be very difficult. And I think if it's such a beautiful ribbon, let's use it in another way that would show it off. Let's use it like to top a pocket. Let's use it to go down the side edge of a page or put it as a belly band down the edge of a page. Something like that to where they really see the ribbon. If you're intent on using it as that closure, just make sure you're adhering that ribbon to your cover super, super well. Like if you think about the way a seatbelt, is sewn. A seatbelt is sewn around all four edges and then it's sewn as X's through it. And that's just adding that strength when you're sewing fabric to fabric or to cover. Basically having that sewn around all four, like do a box and sew across it in an X form to add that stability. But if you use watercolor cardstock, it depends on how hard they pull. Really, it does. You're gonna have to send me some pictures of that so I can see it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Send me some pictures so I can see it. Okay, back to where I was. I was only embellishing the first half. We need to do some quick other clusters so that we can wrap this video as I digress into stressing about her ribbon coming undone. It's not your journal. You don't have to stress about it. If she decides to use ribbon, she decides to use ribbon. See how I have to be? I know it's terrible. I'm so sorry. You get sick Kate, and sick Kate is just like, I don't know. I'm stressing. Okay, so I've torn a strip of that. It's a lovely idea. I just stress about it. That's all. And I'm going to shut up now. Send me pictures, Shelly. And now we're just going to make a scrappy little cluster of braille paper. And I've got this green one that's everybody's favorite green. So let's do some of that. Beautiful. All right, where's it going to go? I don't want it here because we pretty much have that here. We talked about needing something back here, and I think this is great. Great option. So Tim Holtz stapler, where are you? Done. Now you could cover it with a little stamp or whatever. I'm going to dig in that Tim Holtz thing later and find it. But just a cute little scrappy little cluster. All right, where else? We have some good little embellishments here. Okay, the last thing I want to do with paper and glue before I go to fabric right here, and I know you guys are going to yell at me. You're going to be like, where is the German paper ribbon? But right here it is. So, I just had a rubber band that broke. That was keeping this from falling apart. But the German little paper tape stuff is a good option to add something. We're going to have a tag there. I'm going to do it on this side. So I'm just going to add this right here. And it's just adding a little something. Just a little something. Basically, I'm getting the new owner a jump start and decorating and finishing off this journal. And if they don't like anything I've done, well, they can remove it. They can cover it up. Fabric things that I put in here, they could certainly, the fabric bits, they could certainly snip off little lacy pieces and use the lace in fabric. I just folded it to that side so we got a little bit of both. Okay, so there's one of those. Let's go to the back section just because we have it out. I was hoping we could do it, but I don't see the page, so let's just leave it. Let's do it right here. Let's do it right there. So, oh my gosh, it's sticking to my fingers and unraveling. The little bit, I know it kind of looks stupid, right? The first time I started doing the little tiny use your scrap stuff and glue it all down, I was like, I don't know. But in the end, because you also have to keep in mind, we don't have ephemera in here yet. But in the end, when you have ephemera and you see all of the ephemera with all of the little tops that I've embellished, I think we're going to do it right there. With the tops that I've embellished, and the little extra pieces on the bottom, the little stapled in things, it just really finishes it off. And so after you go through and you do paper clusters, you're going to do fabric ones. And we need to move on to that, or else I'll sit here and glue stuff to paper for forever. So for fabric, best thing to do is to find some fabric that you like. Find some fabric that has the colors that you need, right? We have some fabric here that has the right colors. It's got some of the reds. It's got some beiges, all the kinds of colors for this journal. So whatever kind of fabric, and we have some French fabric bundles that we made for the super sale. But so find some fabric that you like. That's number one. Then we're going to go in and we're going to find, we need a fabric page up here in the front. And I'm just looking at the tops of pages now. I'm not carrying what's at the bottom, just looking at the top. And I'm thinking, okay, well, where can we add this fabric hanging down? I've already done some embellishing, so finding an empty page top is hard. I think, nope, we did it on that one. I could do right here, but it would have to match this paper. And that's literally our only option for fabric coming down is right here. And sometimes, so there's different ways. You could do like a fabric cluster, like a lacy cluster that we've all seen, the little lacy clusters. My advice to you, if you're going to do lacy clusters, is please do not make them square. Please do not make them perfectly square, perfectly rectangle. Please make them not rectangle and not square. Make them at different angles. Put your pieces at different angles. The other option that you can do, especially on a page like this, is we could do some little fabric sample strips where we just take fabric that kind of looks like fabric samples and we just glue it to the paper. So I have some different ones here. And the only, complaint that I will have about this is you're taking away a tiny bit of journal space if somebody was going to journal there. But we don't know that they would, right? And it has to be the same colors as that. Let me see if I can find one more. I think this is a better option. So let's do some fabric samples. So I'm going to do that one and this guy. So I'm going to do 3. And we're just going to layer them up right there. And then don't just glue your fabric to something. You have to put the little, when I show you guys lace or fabric sample books here, they always have the little French handwritten numbers, right? They're not usually just a piece of fabric glued to paper. So you're going to want to find a little stamp, like a sample stamp. And notice that I'm just taking the Uhu and I'm just putting it on the fabric. Your Uhu will stick down fabric. I do not want to cover it from edge to edge. I want the raw edges to be there. Okay. So anyway, you're going to want to find a sample stamp set. Basically, that's the best one I can think of off the top of my head. And you're just going to take that sample stamp, find a tiny little number, and you can number it here. You can number it off here, sideways, whatever you want to do. But do add the little numbers to your fabric samples. When you put Uhu on fabric, you want to put a good amount. It's not like when you do it to paper where it's a tiny little bit. You're getting quite a bit of glue on there. And I'm going to keep my torn edge over there. They don't have to be the same size. They don't have to be the same thickness. I have old ones of this. I have many, many old ones. You guys have seen, we've had some big ones, but many old ones where they have little tiny strips of fabric as the samples. And those ones, they oftentimes have just little random pieces of fabric glued to paper. So this is what we're doing for this. Just a little embellishing. And that's it. And then I'll come in and I'll stamp. And they're supposed to look like slightly imperfect, right? Like all of the old ones, they're not glued perfectly straight. They're not perfectly square pieces of fabric. They're supposed to look old, worn, haphazardly kind of stuck there with these, torn strings, and then just stamp your little numbers in there. If the little tore edge is not perfectly straight, you can try to straighten that out, but that's that. And it went with the colors over here, so that made me happy. Okay, so at least we got some fabric in the front half of this journal, right? We got some fabric in there. The back half, we need to do a lot of paper embellishing. Then I will come in with fabric embellishments. Let's see. I don't really use washi tape, but I'm not opposed to it. I just forget I have it most of the time, like all of us. But washi tape would be another good option to come in. I would suggest before you go too far with the zhuzhing up and embellishing, you really should have your ephemera in your pockets before you do this step that I just did with all of you. Before you do all of the little last final touches, you should have your ephemera in here. Because when your ephemera is in here, it really shows you what pages are lacking a little detail, what pages need a little bit more zhuzhing up. So my advice is to not do what I did. Fill your journal completely with your pockets, your tucks, whatever, and your ephemera, and then come in and do the final touches. So I'm going to stop here. But you could do a fabric flip if you're into fabric flips. I don't hate them. I just where would I do one by the time I get mine done with all my fluffy ephemera? So anyway, I'm going to stop here with the zhuzhing up. Was there something else? Oh, this guy. So this guy I saved from torn fabric, and really honestly what he's great for is putting under, you could put under like a label. I wouldn't use all of this, but even take some, like a spool of thread. A lot of us have, because we like old things, we collect like vintage wooden spools of thread. You can take some of that thread, because that thread is usually old and it's not really the best for sewing with on a sewing machine or whatever. It's okay for like sewing on paper, but it's not okay for making like clothing, right? Old thread. But take some old thread off a spool and just put a little nest of it down on paper. Let me find something that actually looks better, but you could do it even on this page, not with this label. But anyway, take a little nest of thread and put a label over the top of it. And you're just going to glue your label like normal. Put your nest of thread down. No glue in your nest. Your glue on your label will hold it all together. And it just kind of looks cute. It's just an extra little, it's a way of recycling these threads that are going to end up in the trash. I don't know, you have to find the right place for it. Here is not the right place, but it's sewing related. So if you had a different color of thread, it would have been okay. I have to find a page that has some red, but you could have even done it like right up there. You could have just done that little spool. Even know if they're still making, but she had one with tiny little numbers. I can probably get that glued up there actually. But anyway, kind of goes nicely. That was a happy accident. I'm going to do that. But anyway, so we're going to just use whatever's left on our desk, fill this up after you have your ephemera in here. What else do we need to talk about for this journal? Closure. I'm just doing eyelets with the crocodile and seam binding. I will do a little more embellishing on the front cover. It's not, to me, it's not done yet. So while it's beautiful, it needs a little bit more zhuzhing. So we could always come in and add, like this is really big, but we could always come in and add more embellishments to this. Let's see what else I have that's smaller. This is like the medium bag, and most things in here are too big for what I'm trying to do. But just smaller little things. I don't know. Some things want to go up here. So I will do some more embellishing. And then I have 2 more to do. It'll take me some time probably, because for the life of me, I don't feel like crafting right now. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and thank you for doing these journals. Does anyone have question before we wrap up? Anyone have question before we wrap up this video? Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys are getting some crafty time in this weekend. Hope to maybe get some journal time in. Wasn't sure what she said either. It's a Sam Poole stamp, and I don't know if it's dates from the past or what it is called, but it has a bunch of little numbers in it, and I really like it. Somebody here probably actually has that and know. If you do know, you can say it and let me know. She's a member of our Facebook group, so we could ask her in there too. But thank you very much. I'm going to turn this camera back around. And so Sunday night, I will post I will post the days for the super sale Sunday night. It will most likely be Monday through Friday, as long as I'm feeling okay and able to do it. This was kind of a test, and it was a 3-hour test to see, how it would go. I just feel very tired. But other than that, I think my voice will be angry, but like it feels angry. It sounds probably terrible and yucky too, but it's just angry in there. So anyway, I'll post the sale schedule on Sunday. There will definitely be a sale on Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what. Hopefully, that will be Monday through Friday because we have everything ready and we're trying to get it done for you guys. I know lots of you guys have asked me questions about it. So hopefully, we can get to do the whole 5-day sale. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry I'm very low energy. The last 2 classes were not the best either because I was just very tired and I just wanted to make simple things because it's like you're just you feel tired and then you don't feel creative, basically. That's the way it works for me. I could, but at that point, the work it takes to get it to happen, you have to balance it out. Doing a shorter sale doesn't necessarily, it doesn't work out any better than doing a longer sale because it's the work leading up to it. So I will rest as much as I can and I will continue to do the work I need to do here. If you guys need anything, just text me and let me know. I know some of you guys asked me some questions and I think I'm pretty much caught up in the texting questions. Thank you guys. I will see you guys back here on Monday. Fingers crossed. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.